you know all about the new M7. So not the XM7, the 6-hour M7 adopted by the US Army. We're approximately 20% through the contract. I think the US military has 20 to 30,000 of these things already out of 115, 120,000 that they're supposed to bring in. But SIG decided to make a new version of the product that's lighter and more, quote unquote, more reliable with a better handguard. Why they didn't bring this one out first, I'll never know. Why the US military wouldn't adopt something more along these lines, again, we'll never know. But yeah, they have brought out a weapon that is 2 pounds lighter than the original variant.
Wow.
So last week at the DSEI Defense Exhibition in London, we had the opportunity to handle SIG's Product Improve M7 rifle. Over the past year, Sig Sauer has taken user feedback from the US Armed Forces and refined the M7. The result is a handier weapon, which feels more like a fighting rifle. Now, I believe the original M7 was something like 9 pounds, 10 pounds with the suppressor, something like that, which again, that's what they're shipped with. They're designed to work with the suppressor, so you have to take the full weight into consideration. So it's roughly like 10 pounds with the suppressor, right? This new variation is like 8 pounds with the suppressor, 8.5 pounds, something like that.
Now, do we know where they scalp the weight?
You're about to find out real fast. So the M7 product improved with a 10.5-inch barrel at DSEI 2025. One of the key criticisms of the M7 is its weight, with the M7 weighing in at around 9.8 pounds with its suppressor. The improved M7 weighs around 7.5 pounds with a suppressor, which is wild. So we've shaved 2.5 pounds, 2.3 pounds off the system. This makes the refined M7 a full kilogram lighter, 2.2 pounds lighter, which is very nice. So we go from a weapon that is essentially like DMR weight naked to SCAR 17 weight, effectively. So SIG achieved this weight reduction in a number of ways. The barrel has been shortened from 13 to 10.5 inches, and some of the internal components, such as the bolt, have been lightened. SIG also explained that the muzzle velocity of the rifle has only been slightly decreased by the barrel length change, with the improved M7 achieving around 28 to 2900 FPS compared to the 3000 FPS with the original 13-inch barrel. SIG says this is still more than meets the Army's ballistic and armor penetration requirements. I think the 3000 feet per second number was one of the requirements at one point, though not entirely, so that might have changed. But even with the 10.5-inch barrel, you're still shooting a 113, a 120, around 2800 FPS, which is still super fast. Still very fast.
So,
and a much shorter package as well. So we're talking like a SCAR 17 size weight, which is one of the best things about the SCAR 17. Good.
They cut the barrel back by 3 whatever inches, and did they also remove some of the weight from the suppressor as well, or was it just off of the bolt?
So the suppressor has been changed. They shaved down the barrel to be shorter. I think they maybe made it a lighter profile, and they also updated the rear stock to no longer be foldable. So it is just a straight tube rather than having the metal, the steel folding mechanism.
Yeah.
So they shaved weight basically everywhere. They gave you a longer diving board that is monolithic on the upper receiver. So that will actually hold zero. Like, because one of the issues on the M7 and basically all SIG guns is that the handguards may or may not hold zero. But on this one, they were like, well, if we just make the upper receiver, that monolithic section longer, well, you can just mount it there and forget about it, right? You don't even have to worry about the handguard at that point. So that's what they've done. The new barrel itself has a lighter profile, and the handguard has been shortened, of course, because it's a shorter barrel, to match the new barrel length. SIG have also removed the folding stock, with the fixed stock saving several grams. Arguably, for some applications, this weight that could be justified to maintain the ability to fold the stock for more compact profile that are suited for vehicle operations. I don't think a folding stock really ever makes sense unless you have to be inside of a vehicle. But even then, inside of a vehicle, like, it's only shaving about 6 inches, which I know sounds like a lot to some of you guys, but it's not that big of a deal.
The folding stocks aren't for anything other than logistics when they're packing them, because it's easier to fit.
I would prefer a fixed stock because the fixed stock is going to be lighter. It's like on an AR-15. I don't know if I've never installed a folding brace, but I don't have any folding stocks on any of my ARs. It's a worthless thing.
You put
You're never
one,
going to be shooting
put
like
one
that.
on
It's dumb.
several years ago, and then I think I ended up with it, and I used it for like 6 months, and then I
Oh,
threw it away.
did you get that one? Okay, so I
Yeah.
actually have out in my garage, I have a Sylvan Arms Gen 4 folding adapter that's just been sitting out there for maybe a year because it just
Well,
showed up at my door one day. So maybe I'll just send that to somebody.
well, send it to me because I want to compare it to the cheap one.
I'm sure it's got to be better. It's got to be better. In addition to the shorter barrel, Sig Sauer has also shortened the SLX suppressor, which is one of their flow-through cans. We'll take a look at it in just a second. Which is paired with the M7 by approximately an inch. This helps improve the rifle's balance. SIG have also paired the new shorter suppressor with a new lightweight thermal shield, which significantly reduces the heat signature of the suppressor. SIGs are also offering the mesh shroud, similar to the scene with the issued with Surge kits, and a anti-mirage shroud with the thermal shield. Dude, there's way too many of these and words. I can't do this. The suppressor's heat glow under night vision and thermal optics only becomes visible at around 100 rounds rather than 40 rounds without the shield. And so essentially with flow-through suppressors, depending on how they're done, after just a few rounds, I would warrant with 6.8, it's even less than 40 rounds. It's probably like one magazine, and then it's just going to turn into a lightsaber on the end of your gun. Like if you've ever watched a Hop or a Brass Facts video where they're shooting out at night, and you see one of their cans just start glowing, it's almost assuredly a flow-through can or some sort of, not sleeved can, because there's cans that have like an outer layer that helps insulate them so that they don't glow like that. But some cans, it does not take much at all for them just to start glowing, and flow-through cans tend to be a big culprit of that as well. And let me go here instead. There we go.
If they heat up quick, that also means that they should cool off quick. So,
well, they're flow-through cans, so they don't retain a lot of the heat, but because of the way that they're designed, they're usually pretty thin on the outside, so they just glow. They just glow.
Yeah. And that does stand out.
But yeah, so they have a thermal mesh on the outside, which is like it's kind of like a little cooling pocket, but it's a visual block. That's all it is. It's a visual block. SIG's work on the M7 was undoubtedly driven by U.S. military feedback and desire for refinements, but it's worth noting that it's unclear whether the rifle seen at DSEI will be the configuration the Army moves towards in the future. Another variant of the improved rifle with the shorter barrel and new handguard, but the new upper receiver profile, was recently seen at the Maneuver Warfighter Conference 2025. In a released and subsequently redacted photo shared by the U.S. Army, the rifle is also seen to be equipped with a Millbrook Strategic Devices MFMD suppressor, which is the really funky looking one here in this photo. It's a two-piece flow-through whack-a-mole suppressor looking thing. It is absolutely wild. But so what they've actually done here is they've gone from 13 inches to 10.5 inches, which is still plenty long for you size queens out there, because you're still getting 2,800 FPS out of a 120 grain projectile, which is more than enough for a infantry fighting rifle. Remember, this isn't a battle rifle. This is the main fighting rifle. So this is going to be issued eventually, theoretically, to everybody. So cutting 2 pounds off the gun, which is going to, that's 40 rounds worth of weight right there. So I think most people would rather have the extra ammo, considering you're already ammo limited with the system. And you're still going to be more than effective out to 800 yards. Now, keep in mind that M7s are not particularly accurate. So while the round might be accurate to those distances, you yourself trying to get out there with whatever optics that you're issued with, that's probably the limiting factor. Because I know when Brass was testing, sometimes it was 2, sometimes it was 4, and all sorts of other fun stuff. But yeah, I personally, if I was going to pick one, I would pick the 10.5. I'm still getting way more than enough terminal effect compared to 5.56, and it's 2 pounds lighter. Yes, this is the rifle that I'm taking. Well, yeah, but barrel erosion issues were happening in the 13-inch variants. So, and again, I'm not the armorer. I'm just shooting the thing, right? So if I was the guy pulling the trigger, I would take the lighter one. All right. The Army now has around 25 to 30,000 M7 rifles in its inventory. It is unlikely that rifles already in service will be retrofitted. That's not going to happen. This will probably end up being a variant if it gets picked up by the U.S. military. To be retrofitted to the new M7 product improved spec, the iterative refinement of the M7 isn't a surprise. Testing and feedback and improvement are key to the next generation squad weapons program spiral development strategy. As such, the M7 and M250 only recently completed desert environmental testing with troops in August. Time will tell if the configuration seen at DSEI, or something similar, is adopted by the U.S. Army to supplement M7s currently in service. In the meantime, questions regarding the M7's PI's accuracy, reliability, parts wears, and signatures are yet to be definitively answered, but it is interesting to see the potential direction of refinement the rifle is moving in. Now, personally, well, probably they're going to supplement the order with the shorter, lighter guys. Because honestly, if they could fix the accuracy issues, I would just move the 13-inch variant to more of a like support role, like a more of a DMR rifle, like leave it as that. And then if we have to go with this for the main infantry rifle, the average dude probably wants a shorter, lighter gun.
No,
and then keep the heavier variants for a more specialized role.
I wonder if the shorter, lighter ones are also going to be slightly cheaper, because they're obviously going to be cheaper to produce because they're not doing the folding mechanism. They're, it's less material.
Well, on the civilian market, sure. The U.S. military, how many billions of dollars is that contract worth? Like, I don't even know if they care that much.
That's what I'm wondering.
I'm sure it's cheaper to produce.
Rifles.
Maybe. I mean, they could shave off probably another ½ pound if they just got rid of the retarded dual charging methodology.
Yeah, I think they need to,
because that's still there.
I think it needs to go.
And I mean, allegedly the handguard, the way the handguard mounts is better as well on this new variant, but you can see how far the front landing platform, dive board, whatever you want to call it, how far forward that goes. So if you want to mount an IR device, I would just mount it right there. Call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah, there might even be enough room to where you can put that and a front iron.
Well, let me show you let's go to the video real fast. Now I can't play the video because he's moving around, but I do want to show you guys the actual suppressor because he has a close-up of the suppressor in this video, which you guys should go check. This is from the Armorer's Bench. You should definitely go check them out. The article's on their website and then the video is on their YouTube page. Here we go. I just saw it. Please come back. There we go. Okay. So you can see that the outer shroud here, this is just the thermal shroud. So this is not the suppressor here on the end. This is just the thermal shroud because this goes all the way through the can. Actually, I can play this because he's not holding a firearm. And I'll show it from the other side, I think. There we go. Yeah, so if he shows it, there we go. So you can see it goes all the way through. So this is just a thermal shroud on the outside, and then the can's on the middle. And it's a shorter, lighter can. So the barrel is 2.5 inches shorter. The suppressor is 1 inch shorter. It's 2 pounds lighter, over 2 pounds lighter. Like, it is a product improvement. And with a longer die board, no folding stock, so it's a little lighter in the back as well. If I were forced to pick one of these, I would take the shorter ones, right? Because again, you got to keep in mind, it's not a DMR. It's not supposed to be accurate, like 1 MOA at 1,000 yards or something like that. That's not its point. It is a main fighting rifle. So if your standard M4 is 2 MOA, this is probably also about 2 MOA, if you're lucky. So even though the caliber is capable out to 1,000 plus yards, surely the barrel system is just not particularly accurate. So yeah, we have a SCAR, but not a SCAR. We have a SCAR and an interesting caliber. How about that? But we could have solved all of this just by, I guess, updating the SCAR. Why couldn't we just get a SCAR 2.0? How about that?
So to answer Can't Get Right's question, it basically because of maintenance. Integral suppressors require so much more maintenance.
Yeah, I think that's a bad idea.
Really is.
Well, it's a flow through can, so the back pressure it adds isn't that much. It's still some, but it's not that much. And the fact that you can take it on and off, now that complicates it with SIG's locking mechanism allegedly having broken on many of their suppressors. You can see it a lot of the time, or not a lot of the times, but you can see images floating around of people welding the suppressors to the muzzle device. Have you seen that? Yeah. Where the suppressor is just gob welded to the muzzle device to stop them from moving.
Yeah.
So SIG's quality control is always in question, right? So all of that sort of stuff, SIG being scummy, getting the contract, SIG's quality control, all of that is still in play here. Also, I still don't like any of that. However, the M7, 2 pounds lighter, 3 inches shorter, I like that. Okay. I like that.
We could just get them to ditch the goofy side charging thing.
And well, that's the U.S. military. I can't even blame them for that. That's the U.S. military said you have to have that. Has to be dual charging.
Yeah, so drill a couple holes in the side of the bolt and make it right side charged. Like,
Well, what's actually funny is they could just put a fin on
yeah,
the bolt itself.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They just
They actually could do that, yeah.
either make it integral like an AK or
Yeah.
do
Although
like the Gen 2.
I think it might have been non-reciprocating. I think that also might have been part of the requirements, but
Yeah, so I don't even understand why they would want a non-reciprocating side charging.
well, so I believe, don't quote me on this, or you can quote me on this. I believe the reasoning had to do with the fact that it has the same manual of arms as the XM250. So all of the guns in inventory have the same manual of arms. And so I think the point of that was that you can charge it from the prone without having to get your eyes off the gun, right? Because normally you would have to get your hand out of the way, pull, release. But with this one here, you can go right up in front of your face, pull and release.
Yeah.
So, but and again, big military requirements. That's not on SIG for that. I can't blame them for that. Although I want to see somebody actually get one of these funky wonky suppressors here, play around with that. And honestly, that looks like a Vortex Razor AMG Shorty. That looks like so much better of a sighting system than that XM157, where it has the ballistic computer and the everything mounted into one optic. That seems way better to me. Just throw an LPBO on there and call it a day. If you want to,
this
get magnification on there.
Suppressor aside, actually looks interesting and intriguing to me. Whereas I don't really care for the.
Well, that's another problem. When it comes to weight, the XM157, that sighting system is like 2 pounds all in of itself, or more than 2 pounds. So your 10-pound rifle, your 10-pound rifle goes to 12.5 before we put a magazine in the gun.
I think it was 9 point something or 0.9 something kilos. So like 2.
Right, so 2.1, which is ridiculous.